Good evening, Virgo. Two distinct energies just crossed into your field at almost the exact same moment, and they could not feel more different from each other. That is the very first thing that arrived when I tuned into this reading for you today, Virgo. Not one presence, two. Sitting in your energy simultaneously, each wanting something significant from you, each approaching that wanting in a completely different way. One moves like water, deep, emotional, pulling you toward depth and feeling. The other moves like fire, immediate, intense, pulling you toward passion and momentum. Both of them want you. And I mean that fully, not casually, not as a passing interest, but as something they have each been sitting with privately for some time now. I want to walk you through both of these energies fully, who they are, what specifically draws each of them to you, how their approaches differ, and what this dual attention actually means for you right now. Stay with me through this entire reading because there is genuine richness here, and I do not want to rush past any part of it. Let me describe what I felt the moment I opened this energy, because the very first impression carries important information. I felt a kind of doubling, an unusual sensation of two distinct pulls happening at once rather than the single, clear thread that most readings present. This told me immediately that what is unfolding around you right now is not a simple, singular situation. There is real complexity here, two separate sources of genuine interest converging in your life during the same general window of time. I also felt intensity from both directions, though the quality of that intensity differs significantly between them. This is not mild curiosity from either person. Both of these individuals are experiencing something that has moved beyond casual interest into territory that feels significant and somewhat consuming for each of them in their own way. I want to start with the water sign energy because Spirit brought this one through first, and I want to honor that ordering. This person carries depth as their defining quality, emotionally perceptive, often more in touch with the undercurrents of a situation than they let on outwardly. This is someone who feels things intensely, even when their outward presentation remains relatively composed. I am sensing they have been observing you for some time, not in a passive way, but in the specific, attentive manner of someone who notices details others miss, the way you handle stress, the specific things that make you laugh genuinely versus politely, the moments when your guard drops slightly and something more real comes through. This water energy is drawn to your depth specifically. I am sensing they see past whatever surface level composure you typically present to the world and have caught glimpses of the rich, complex interior you carry, the parts of you that most people never get access to because you do not offer them easily. This person finds that depth genuinely compelling rather than intimidating, which is significant because many people are drawn to surface qualities while feeling uncertain about navigating someone's full emotional complexity. I want to describe this person's energy a bit further because I think the more specific I can be here, the more recognizable this becomes for you. I am sensing someone whose own emotional world runs deep, who has likely experienced significant feeling in past connections, perhaps even some genuine heartbreak that taught them caution around moving too quickly into vulnerability again. This history is part of why their approach to you carries such careful attention, not because they doubt their feelings, but because they have learned, sometimes painfully, that rushing into emotional exposure without adequate trust can lead to genuine harm. I am also sensing this person has a particular sensitivity to your moods and energy shifts that goes beyond ordinary attentiveness. They seem to register subtle changes in you, a slight shift in your tone, a quieter version of your usual self, almost before you have fully processed those shifts yourself. This sensitivity is part of their water nature, an intuitive attunement to emotional undercurrents that most people simply do not possess to the same degree. I want to speak to how this water sign energy approaches their interest in you because their style differs significantly from what I am about to describe for the fire energy. This is someone who moves carefully, almost cautiously, when it comes to expressing genuine feeling. I am sensing periods of pulling back even as their interest grows, not because the interest fades, but because vulnerability does not come easily to this person, even when what they feel is significant. They are more likely to show their interest through consistent, quiet presence rather than bold declaration, remembering small details you mentioned in passing, checking in during moments that matter to you, even minor ones, creating a sense of emotional safety around you without necessarily naming directly what they feel. I want you to understand that this careful approach does not indicate lesser interest compared to someone more outwardly expressive. It indicates a different relationship with vulnerability, one rooted in genuine care about getting this right rather than simply moving quickly toward what they want. Now, let me speak to the fire sign energy because this presence carries an entirely different quality. This person operates with intensity from the very beginning of their interest, rather than the gradual, careful unfolding I described with the water energy. I am sensing genuine passion here, the kind that shows up immediately and is difficult for this person to fully contain or hide, even if they wanted to. There is an urgency present in how they think about you, a quality of wanting to move forward rather than simply observe from a comfortable distance. This fire energy is drawn to your strength specifically, your competence, the way you handle situations with a kind of quiet, capable confidence that this person finds genuinely magnetic. I am also sensing they are drawn to a kind of challenge present in connecting with you. The sense that earning your genuine attention and respect requires real effort rather than something handed over easily, and this challenge energizes rather than discourages them. I want to expand on this person's energy further because I think the specifics matter here as much as they did with the water sign description. I am sensing someone who is accustomed to moving quickly through life generally, someone whose natural pace involves decisive action rather than prolonged deliberation. This is not recklessness, but rather a fundamentally different relationship with timing than what governs your own typically more careful, considered approach to important decisions. When this person decided you mattered to them, that decision likely arrived with real clarity and speed compared to how long such realizations might take for others. I am also sensing genuine warmth underneath this person's more outwardly confident presentation, a softer interior that they do not show to everyone, but that has become increasingly visible specifically around you. This is significant because it suggests their interest in you has accessed something in them that goes beyond their usual, more guarded public persona, revealing a more vulnerable side that they reserve for connections that genuinely matter to them. Does this feel like it is connecting to your own current experience, Virgo? Are there two distinct people in your life right now whose energy toward you has felt different from each other in ways you could feel but maybe could not fully articulate? Let me know in the comments. I want to hear how this is resonating with what you have been sensing. I want to address how this fire sign energy approaches their interest because the contrast with the water energy is significant and worth understanding fully. this person moves more directly. I am sensing less hesitation here, more willingness to express interest openly, whether through clear compliments, direct invitations, or simply an unmistakable quality of attention when they are around you. There is less careful calculation in how they approach this and more genuine, immediate expression of what they feel as it arises. This does not mean they lack depth, but their relationship with vulnerability operates differently than the water signs does. They tend to lead with action and directness rather than careful, gradual revelation. I am also sensing some impatience present in this fire energy, a sense of wanting things to move forward at a pace that may feel faster than what you are naturally inclined toward. This is not necessarily a negative quality, but it is worth understanding as part of their general approach to connection and desire. Inhale with me for a moment, Virgo. I want to speak to something important here, which is what these two distinct energies actually require from you right now. I am not sensing that spirit is asking you to immediately choose between these two people if you have not already done so naturally through your own circumstances. What I am sensing is that this moment is asking for clarity on your part, genuine reflection about what you actually want from connection right now, separate from simply responding to whoever shows the most obvious interest or moves the most quickly. I want you to consider what each of these energies would actually require of you long term. The water sign offers depth, emotional safety, and a kind of patient, careful building of trust over time, but may also require you to be patient with their own hesitancy around vulnerability. The fire sign offers passion, directness, and immediate momentum, but may also require you to match an intensity and pace that does not always come naturally to your typically more measured Virgo approach to connection. Let me speak to something specific about your own energy right now, because I think it matters significantly to how this dual attention is unfolding. You have been giving off something recently that has made you genuinely magnetic to multiple people simultaneously, and I want to address what that something actually is rather than leaving it vague. I am sensing a particular quality of self-possession in you right now, a groundedness that comes from doing real internal work, perhaps processing past disappointments, perhaps simply settling more fully into your own sense of identity and worth. This kind of genuine self-possession is rare and tends to draw attention from people who recognize its value, even if they cannot always articulate exactly what they are responding to in you. I want to go deeper into this idea of magnetism because I think it deserves real attention rather than simply being mentioned in passing. There is a particular quality that develops in a person when they stop seeking external validation as the primary source of their sense of worth and instead root that worth more firmly in their own internal sense of self. This shift is often subtle from the outside, not dramatic or loudly announced, but it changes the energy a person carries into every room they enter. People are drawn to this quality instinctively, even when they cannot fully explain why, because genuine self-possession is increasingly rare and therefore increasingly compelling when encountered. I am sensing that whatever internal work you have been doing recently, whether through deliberate reflection, processing past relationship patterns, or simply time and natural maturation, has produced exactly this kind of shift in your energy. Both the water sign and the fire sign have likely sensed this change, even if neither of them could fully name what specifically draws them to you so strongly right now compared to perhaps how they may have related to you in the past. I want to speak directly to your own role in how this entire situation unfolds because I do not want you to feel like a passive recipient of two competing interests with no agency of your own. You hold real power here, Virgo, and I want you to recognize it fully. You are not obligated to clarify your feelings on anyone else's timeline. You are not required to give equal attention to both connections simply because both have shown genuine interest. And you are absolutely not required to make any decision before you have had adequate time to genuinely understand what each of these connections actually feels like in practice, beyond the initial excitement or flattery of being wanted by two different people simultaneously. I want to encourage you to pay attention to how you feel in your own body around each of these energies, separate from how flattering their attention might feel in the abstract. Does time with the water sign leave you feeling calm, met, genuinely seen in your depth? Does time with the fire sign leave you feeling energized, alive, pulled toward growth and new experience? Or do either of these connections, despite their genuine interest, leave you feeling slightly off, slightly compromised, in ways that are harder to name but worth honoring nonetheless? Your body often knows the truth of compatibility before your conscious mind fully catches up to it. I want to address the possibility that one of these connections feels more aligned to you than the other, because I think this deserves direct acknowledgement. If, as you have been listening to this reading, one of these descriptions resonated more strongly than the other, more specifically matched a person already present in your awareness, I want you to trust that resonance. This reading is not meant to create confusion or suggest you must weigh both possibilities equally if your own intuition is already pointing more clearly in one direction. Sometimes these readings simply confirm what you already sense to be true, even before external circumstances have fully caught up to that internal knowing. I want to speak to what happens if you find yourself genuinely uncertain between these two energies, because I know this can feel overwhelming rather than flattering, despite how it might initially sound. Having two people interested in you simultaneously is not necessarily a luxurious position, even though it might appear that way from the outside. It can create real internal pressure, a sense of needing to make a decision before you feel fully ready, or guilt about not being able to reciprocate equally toward both people. I want you to release any pressure to rush this. You are allowed to take time to continue getting to know both energies as they naturally unfold in your life without forcing premature clarity simply because external circumstances seem to be asking for it. This kind of uncertainty does not reflect a flaw in your character or your decision-making capacity. It simply reflects the genuine complexity of having two distinct, meaningful connections present in your awareness at the same time, each offering something different, each requiring honest reflection before you can know with confidence which direction, if either genuinely serves your highest good. Let me speak to what genuine compatibility actually looks like, separate from simply who pursues you more intensely or more visibly in the near term. Compatibility is not measured purely by who initiates contact more often or who expresses interests more boldly. It is measured by whether someone's presence in your life genuinely adds to your well-being over time, whether they respect your pace and your needs, whether being around them consistently feels like coming home to yourself, rather than performing a version of yourself designed to keep their interest. I want you to evaluate both of these connections if you choose to continue exploring either or both through this lens, rather than simply through the lens of who feels most exciting in this immediate moment. I want to expand on this distinction further because I think it is one of the most valuable pieces of guidance in this entire reading. Excitement and genuine compatibility are not always the same thing, though they can certainly coexist. Sometimes the connection that feels most thrilling in its early stages is not the one that ultimately provides the most sustainable, nourishing foundation for genuine partnership. And sometimes the connection that unfolds more slowly, more quietly, ends up revealing itself as the more substantial choice once the initial intensity of newness settles into something more grounded. I want you to give yourself permission to notice this difference as both of these connections continue to develop, rather than assuming that whichever feels most immediately intense or flattering must automatically be the right choice. Real, lasting compatibility often reveals itself gradually through how someone handles disagreement, how they respond when you need space, whether they remain consistent during ordinary, unremarkable moments rather than only showing up impressively during the exciting early stages of getting to know each other. I want to address something honest here about the water sign energy specifically because I think balance matters in this reading. While this person's depth and careful approach carries real beauty, their hesitancy around vulnerability could also become frustrating if it persists too long without any movement toward greater openness. I want you to watch for whether their careful pace is rooted in genuine thoughtfulness or whether it edges into avoidance that never quite resolves into actual emotional availability. There is a difference between someone moving carefully toward real intimacy and someone using carefulness as a permanent shield against ever fully showing up. I also want to address something honest about the fire sign energy because the same balance applies here. While this person's directness and passion carries genuine appeal, their faster pace and intensity could also become overwhelming if it does not include genuine patience for your own natural rhythm and need for depth before moving forward significantly. I want you to watch for whether their enthusiasm includes real respect for your pace or whether it edges into pressure that does not honor your own timeline for how connection should unfold. As I bring this reading toward its close, I want to leave you with the complete picture Spirit shared today. Two distinct people, one carrying water energy and one carrying fire energy, currently hold genuine interest in you, each drawn to different qualities you possess and each approaching their interest in markedly different ways. This dual attention reflects something real about your own current magnetism, rooted in genuine self-possession and groundedness you have been cultivating. Take your time with both of these connections if they continue to unfold, evaluating them based on genuine compatibility and mutual respect for your pace, rather than simply rushing toward whichever feels most immediately exciting or flattering. If this reading resonated with you today, please share it with a Virgo who might also be navigating multiple sources of interest right now. And let me know in the comments which energy, water or fire, felt more familiar to your current situation. I read every comment and I carry your stories with genuine care long after this video ends. Until next time, Virgo, you are not required to choose immediately. You are simply required to stay honest with yourself as both of these stories continue to unfold